Hi guys, this is May 2022 1HR. So we have a biased spinner. When the spinner is spun once, the probabilities that lands on red or on yellow or on green are given. Work out the probability that lands on red or yellow. Okay, so guys, this is easy. We just add the red and the yellow. This or this, add them together. We get 0.45. Then he says, Yang is going to spin the spinner 300 times, work out an estimate for the number of times the spinner will land on purple. So firstly, guys, we need to find out the probability of purple. And that's actually quite easy too, because we just know that these have to add up to 1. So this plus this plus this, you can use your calculator, guys. That's 0.65, which means 0.35 is left here. So that's 0.35. And then we just do 300 times 0.35 to find, because it's like it's going to land on purple 35% of the time, and if we do it 300 times, just multiply by 0.35. Okay, I will use my calculator for this, guys. 300 times 0.35 is 105. Okay, so that's 105. Question 2. In a warehouse, there are 2 types of shelves, type R and type S. These 2 types of shelves are arranged into shelving units that form a sequence of patterns. Here are the first 3 terms. Okay, fine. The width of each shelf is 2.4. That's given, and each S is 3.5. Work out the total width of a shelving unit that has 6 type R shelves. Okay, so if there's 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, you could even draw it, guys. Look, you get 4. That's obviously a terrible drawing, guys, but whatever. So now we've 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these R's, and we've only got 5 of the S's. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to do 6 times 2.4 plus 6 times 2.4 plus 5 times 3.5, and whatever this is, 6 times 2.4 plus 5 times 3.5 is, let's just change that to 31.9 meters. 31.9. A shelving unit has n or type shelves. The total width of this shelving unit is W meters. Find an expression for W in terms of n. Okay, so they have n or type shelves, and the total width is W. Okay, so W is equal to, okay, this is not easy, guys. Let's see. If there's n or type shelves, we're going to do n times, so it's n times 2.4, because if there's 6, we do 6 times 2.4. If there's 7, 7 times 2.4. If there's n, we do n times 2.4. But how many 3.5s are there? Well, there's always one less. If there's 6 R's, there's 5 S's. If there's 10 R's, there's 9 S's. If there's n R's, there's n minus 1 S's. So it's n minus 1 times 3.5. Now we have to multiply this out, guys. This gives me 2.4n plus 3.5n minus 3.5, which is 5.9n minus 3.5. So it's 5.9n minus 3.5. Okay. Question 3. Here are 5 cards. Each card has a number written on it. Fine. The mean of the 5 numbers is 12. I'm just checking, guys. It's a 3-mark question. The mean is 12. Work out the value of x. Okay, I don't think that's too bad, guys. I can do 15 plus 7 minus 2 plus 23 plus x, all divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because there's 5 cards. And this has to equal 12, because the mean is 12. And that means that all of these Now let's actually add them, guys. This is 22 minus 2 is 20, 43 plus x. So 43 plus x has to be 60, because 5 times 12 is 60. 60 divided by 5 is 12, which means x is equal to 17. Okay, that was not too bad. Question 4. The language department of a college has 180 students. Each student studies exactly one of these languages. 15 students study French. 45% of the students study German. Excuse me. Express the percentage of students studying Italian or Spanish as a percentage of those studying French or German. Whoa, that is not easy. Okay, so 15 students study French. So let's write this out like this. French, we have 15 students. German, we have 45% of 180. So let's do that. 180 times 0.45. That's how we get a percentage. 180 times 0.45. That's a plus. 180 times 0.45 is 81. So there's 81. Something's wrong with my pen. 81 study German. And then Italian or Spanish. So that's just one thing. Italian or Spanish. You can put them together because he's not asking for them individually. So Italian or Spanish is going to be the total minus the 81 Germans minus the 15 French. And that is, I should be able to do that with my head, guys, but let's not take any chances. 180 minus 81 minus 15 is 84. So there's 84 study Italian or Spanish. Now he says the percentage of students study Italian or Spanish as a percentage of those studying French or German. So that means we get this 84 out of 81 plus 15, which is that's 96 times 100. So that's what it means, guys, when he says a percentage of these, the percentage of these students as a percentage of these students. It's the total of these divided by the total of these times 100. Okay, and that gives me 84 divided by 96 times 100 is 87.5. So that's 87.5%. %. 87.5. Okay. Question 5. Okay, expand these. So 3c cubed times c is 3c to the 4, because it's like c to the 3 times c to the 1. And then 3c cubed times 4 is plus 12c cubed. And that's it. Factorize this. Okay, we do x and x and x. I guess I'll just do it like this. X and x. So it's x and x because x times x is x squared. Then we need the factors of 9 that multiply to give me 9 and add to give me 8. Sorry, factors of negative 9 that add to give you 8. So it's going to be plus 9 and minus 1, because 9 times minus 1 is minus 9 and 9 minus 1 is 8. So that's it. Hence solve this. Okay, well in that case, guys, we just say, okay, that means either x plus 9 equals 0 or x minus 1 equals 0. This is x equals negative 9. This is x equals 1. Okay. Question 6. Show that this plus this equals this. Okay, this is a fairly standard question, guys, that you're going to get pretty much in every exam, so make sure you can do it. First, let's change the... There's two ways to do it. You could add the 2 and the 3 and then add the fractions. I like to just change the mixed number into an improper fraction. So I do 3 times 2 plus 2 is 8. So this is 8/3. Plus 4 times 3, 12, plus 3 is 15. This is 15/4. And then we do a common denominator, which will be 12ths plus 12ths, because 3 goes into 12, 4 goes into 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 8 times 4 is 32. 4 times 3 is 12. 15 times 3 is 45. So we're left with 32 plus 45, which is 77/12. 77/12. And 12 goes into 77 6 times, remainder 5, because 12 times 6 is 72. So remainder 5, so that's 5/12, which is what they asked us to show. Okay, that's question 6. Question 7. The cylinder has diameter 18. Sorry, it's a solid cylinder made from iron. It has diameter 18 and height 3.5. Mass is this. Work out the density, right? The density, guys, density formula in the formula booklet. No, sorry, it's not in the formula booklet. It's M/V. It's mass per volume. And if you forget it, guys, look at this. Look, this gives you a hint. It's mass per volume, if you like, right? Now, we have the mass, it's this, but we don't have the volume, but we can calculate it. The volume is pi r squared h, because it's a cylinder. So pi r squared h, pi is pi, r is 9, just be careful, it's half the diameter, pi r squared, and h is 3.5. So this I'll do with my calculator. It's pi button is here, pi times 9 squared times 3.5, which is, let's just change it to a decimal, 890.64. 890.64. He wants this final answer to 2 significant figures, guys, so just put plenty more than 2 significant figures here. Then he says work out the density. The density is therefore mass over volume. It's 7.04. Now, actually, guys, be very careful. I've just seen something. This is in grams per centimeter cubed. So this is centimeter cubed, fine. But this is not in grams, this is in kilograms. So this is approximately, this is equal to 7,040 grams. So just be careful. So it is 7,040 over 890.64. Okay, and this is 740 divided by 890.64, 7.9. Well, he wants 2 significant figures, so it's 7.9. So this is approximately equal to 7.9 grams per centimeter cubed, or I'm sure it's just here, 7.9. Okay. Question 8. Jane bought a car for this. It depreciates by 15% each year. Okay, this calculates value after 4 years. This is, guys, a fairly straightforward question. We do 100 minus 15 because depreciate means it's going down in value. This is 85%. So we're basically trying to get 85% of 18,000. So it's 18,000 times 0.85. But we're going to times it by 0.85 4 times. So I'm going to raise this to the power of 4. Okay, this is now 18,000 times 0.85 to the power of 4, which is 9396. And again, he says nearest dollar. So I'll just do approximately equal to 9396. 9396. Okay. Solve the inequality. probably, guys, the way I like to do these, the best way, well, there's no best way, but I like to just leave the arrow going the same direction and just add and subtract rather than dividing by a negative number and then you have to turn the sign. But anyway, if I just add 4x over here and I subtract 11 over here, I get this. 3 minus 11 is negative 8. And divide by 4. X is greater or equal to negative 2. And then I can just write it here. X greater or equal to negative 2. Question 10. Find an equation for the line L. Okay, it's y equals mx plus c, guys. This is just, okay, it's the only question. The m is the rise over the run. So I like to just pick 2 points. Pick any 2 corners where it passes through, like here and here. And then you go across 2 and up 3, which means the gradient is 3 over 2. And then the y-intercept is negative 1. So the equation of the line is y equals m 3 over 2 x plus c minus 1. That's it. Question 11. In the diagram, ABC and DAC are right angle triangles. Good. The area of the quadrilateral is 31.5. That's the total thing. Work out the length of AD. This length here, right? Let's call it X, guys, for just to simplify. Okay, so we can get, guys, the area of a triangle, of a right angle triangle, by doing base times height, which is, base times height divided by 2, which is going to be 6 times this divided by 2. It's the perpendicular heights. You got to use the two perpendicular sides. Now, I don't actually have this side, but I can find it out. Let's actually call it y. Now, I'm going to say up here, I'll do it here. Y squared plus 6 squared equals 7.5 squared. This is Pythagoras' theorem. Y squared equals 7.5 squared minus 6 squared. And then y is the square root of 7.5 squared minus 6 squared. Now, let's do the square root. Square root of 7.5 squared minus 6 squared is 9 over 2, which is 4.5. That's nice. 4.5. So that means this is 4.5. Okay, so this guy's area, let's call it area 1. Let's call this area 2. Area 1, let's just move down a little bit here, guys. Area 1 is equal to 6 times 4.5 over 2. It's the area of a triangle. Base times height divided by 2. Let's do this. 6 times 4.5 divided by 2. That's just 3 times 4.5, which is 13.5. You can use your calculator, guys, but I can do that in my head. That's 13.5. And then area 2 is going to be base, which is the 7.5, times x, because it's base times height. Now the x is what we don't know, 7.5x over 2. Okay, so that's area 1 and that's area 2. Now the total area, let's say area total, let's do it, let's just do this down here, guys. Total area is area 1 13.5 plus area 2 7.5x over 2, and it equals the total area 1 plus area 2 equals 31.5. And now I can just solve this equation to get the area. It is well, let's subtract the 13.5, so it's 7.5x over 2 equals 31.5 minus 13.5, which is, again, hopefully guys I can do that in my head, 18. Multiply by 2, 7.5x equals 36. And then x is equal to 36 divided by 7.5. 36 divided by 7.5 is 24 over 5, which is 4.8. So x is 4.8. Okay, and I'll put this here. 6 marks, guys. That's quite a long, tricky question. Question 12. P is this, Q is this. Write down the highest common factor of P and Q. Okay, the highest common factor, guys, we just get the common ones. Now there's a 3 squared in both of these. There's a 3 squared, and there's a 5, so it's times 5, and there's a 7. So that's the highest common factor. It's only 1 mark, so you'll get full marks for that, but I think, guys, I'm going to write down the number 3 squared times 5 times 7, which is 315. Okay, so this is 315. Okay, again, P and Q. Work out the value of P cubed times Q. Give your answer in this form, where x, y, and z are positive integers. Okay, this is tricky, guys. P cubed. So P cubed is, let's just put it in a bracket. It's 3 cubed times 5 squared times 7 cubed. Now, when you do this, you cube each of these. It's this cubed, and this cubed. And to cube a number with a power, you multiply the power. So it's 3 times 3 is 9. So this is 3 to the power of 9. 5 squared, 2 times 3 is 6. So this is 5 to the power of 6. And this is 7 cubed, which is just 7 cubed. Okay, so now I can do P cubed times Q is this 3 to the 9 times 5 to the 6 times 7 cubed times Q, which is 3 squared times 5 times 7 squared. And now I can just add the powers of each common base. So the 3 to the 9 times 3 squared is 3 to the 11. 5 to the 6 times 5 is 5 to the 7. And 7 cubed times 7 squared is 7 to the 5. And that is correct. Okay, question 13. Here is the number of runs scored by a baseball team in each of its 15 games this season. They've been arranged in order of size. Work out the interquartile range of the number of runs. Okay, there's 15 games, guys. That means the median is going to be the 8th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the median. I'll just put M for median. It's the middle because there's 7 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And 7 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now to get Q1, you get the median of these ones. You look to the left of the median. Don't include this 7, just these ones. And you get the middle. That guy is Q1. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. And then similarly, this guy is Q3. 3 to the left, 3 to the right. So the interquartile range, IQR, is just 12 minus 3, which is 9. Okay. Question 14. Solve these. Show clear algebraic working. You can't just use your calculator, guys. So I am going to, let's multiply this one by, you could choose 3 and 5 or 3 and 4. I'm going to do the 5. Let's do this times 3 and this times 5. That will give me common y's. The y's will be the same. All right, so 3x times 3 is 9x. 5y times 3 is 15y. 25 times 3 is 75. 4x times 5 is 20x. 3y times 5 is 15y, and 14 times 5 is 70. Line underneath. Now, because these are the same, we are going to add them, right? So adding these will get rid of the y. So 20 plus 9 is 29x. 70 plus 75 is 145. Now I'm guessing, guys, this goes in 5 times. 5 times this is 145. Good. So x is equal to 5. And then I'm just going to sub into equation 2. 4x plus 3y equals 14. 4 times 5, x is now 5, plus 3y equals 14. 20 plus 3y equals 14. 3y equals 14 minus 20, which is negative 6. And y is equal to negative 6 divided by 3, which is negative 2. X is 5. Y is negative 2. Okay, question 15. P, Q, or S are points on a circle with center O. So as soon as I see that, guys, I think, right, this is a cyclic quadrilateral. This 136 plus this angle has to be 44, because these, sorry, this has to be 44 because these two add up to 180. Now I haven't even read the question. I'm just going to put that in. This is the diameter. Angle PQ is 136. Fine. Work at the size of angle or PS. So we are trying to find this angle here. Okay. Now, okay. Well, actually, this is a lot easier than I thought, because well, once I've this 44, this is 90 because this is 90 because it's an angle in a semicircle. This is a right angle. So 90 plus 44 plus, let's call this x, has to equal 180 because they're angles in a triangle. So x plus 90 plus 44 equals 180. X plus 134 equals 180. And that means x has to equal 46 degrees. Question 16. Expand and simplify. Okay, guys, I am going to do 2 first. So let's do the 3x minus 1 times x plus 2. Let's do the first. 3x times x is 3x squared. 3x times 2 is plus 6x. Minus 1 times x is minus x. Minus 1 times 2 is minus 2. Gives me 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. Then I'm going to do this times 3x plus 1. So I do my 3x squared plus 5x minus 2 times 3x plus 1. And then I have to do the first, hang on, I do the first times the first times the second. I do the second times the first, the second times the second, and I do the third times the first and the third times the second. So this gives me 9x cubed. This times this is plus 3x squared. This times this is plus 15x squared plus 5x minus 6x minus 2. Simplify it. 9x cubed is on its own. This plus this is plus 18x squared. 5x minus 6x is minus 1x. And the minus 2 is on its own, just as minus 2. Okay, part B. Simplify this fully. Okay, first step, guys, I see this negative power. The negative power means I can turn it upside down, flip it. So it's 8xy squared on the top over 2x to the 5 at the bottom. And instead of minus 2, I just put 2. Then I square everything. 8. All Or actually, guys, it would be easier to divide first, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 8 divided by 2 is 4. So there's just a 4 at the top. X and x to the 5 cancels. So I'm just left with y squared on the top. And on the bottom, the x, one of these x's cancels with one of these. So I'm left with x to the 4 at the bottom. So 5 minus 1 is 4. And this is all squared, don't forget. And this gives me 16. 4 squared is 16. Y squared squared is y to the 4. I multiply the powers. And the bottom, x to the 4 squared is x to the 8. So we're left with this. Now, you guys, you could have done what I was going to do originally and just square everything and said that's 64 over 4. You'd still have got the 16. Everything would have worked out fine, but I guess my way was slightly quicker. Question 17. Here's a parallelogram. SPQ is acute. PQ is 6.1. PS is 3.8. The area of the parallelogram is this. Work out the length of QS. Give your answer to 3 significant figures. Okay, let me just check, guys. This is a 5-mark question. It's going to be hard, right? Area of the parallelogram is 18 centimeters squared. Okay, now, guys, that means that this, I'm just trying to think how to do this. That means that this area is 9, because this is half the parallelogram. Now he says this this angle is acute, SPQ. Now the reason that the fact that he said that has given me a bit of a hint, because I'm going to use this angle. Let's use this angle and the area of a triangle formula. So the area of a triangle, area is a half AB sine C. That is in the formula booklet. That's the area of area of any triangle formula. So this is, the area is 9. Remember, I halved the 18, and I'm left with a half times A, which is 3.8, times B, which is 6.1, times sine X. So here's my formula. I can multiply across by 9 and divide by this. So let's just sine X equals, I'm going to swap things around. 2 times 9 is 18. 18 over, and I can just put this in like this, 3.8 times 6.1. Now once I have sine X, I can get X using the inverse sine formula. So I'm going to do inverse sine, sorry guys, I opened the wrong calculator. Inverse sine of 18 over 3.8 times 6.1, and I get 50.944. 50.944. Okay, fine, but that's not what they're asking me. They're asking me to find the length QS. But once I have these two sides and the angle between, I can use the cosine rule. So I can say, let's call this y now. I can say y squared is equal to, hang on, I might need more room. Y squared equals 3.8 squared, a squared, plus b squared, 6.1 squared, minus 2 times this, times cos 50.944. Now guys, that's the cosine rule. Make sure you understand how to do it. And then y is just equal to the square root of all this. So it's the square root of 3.8 squared, 3.8 squared plus 6.1 squared minus 2 times 3.8 times 6.1 times cos of 50.944. Press enter, and I've done something silly. What did I do? 3.8 squared plus 6.1 squared minus 2 times this times this. I forgot to close the bracket. That's all, guys. And I get 4.737. 4.737. Three significant figures. 4.74. And it's centimeters. 4.74. Okay, question 18. The diagram shows a cube with sides length L. T is the midpoint of AB and V is the midpoint of CH. Work out the distance from T to V in a straight line through the cube. Give your answer in the form root A. Okay, these guys' questions are always not easy, right? So we're trying to get this length here. Okay, now one thing I like to do straight away is to try to make some triangles here. So if I bring this down there and this over here. Now this is a right angled triangle. This is a right angle, guys, if you can visualize it in 3 dimensions. And this length here is, okay, this length is 6. This length is 3. And this length is 3. So let's actually maybe look at this. Okay, I can see how we can figure this out, guys. This isn't too hard. If this is also a right angle triangle. If we can find out this length here, let's call it x, using Pythagoras, then we can find out this length using Pythagoras. So actually, I don't think this question is too bad. Okay, let's get x. So x squared is 3 squared plus 3 squared, because that's Pythagoras' theorem. X squared equals 18. 9 plus 9 is 18. And x is equal to root 18. Now let's just leave it as root 18 for a second. And then we can say this length here, let's call it y. This length y is y squared is equal to 6 squared plus x squared. Now x, guys, is root 18. So it's root 18 squared, but root 18 squared is just 18. So y squared is equal to 36 plus 18, which is 54. Y squared equals 54. So y is equal to root 54. Now you could change this, guys, into like on your calculator. You can simplify it, but it says in the form root A, so this is fine. Okay, that's question 18. Question 19. The histogram gives information about the height h of each tree in part of a forest. So he says there's no trees less than 200 or greater than 800, and the number of trees between 300 and 400. So that means here, the number of trees here, this green thing here, I'll just underline that there, is 8 fewer than the number of trees between 400 and 500. Now 400 and 500 is all of this and all of this here, where this is 500. Okay, work out an estimate for the number of trees in this part of the forest that have height greater than 500. So he wants us to calculate all of this. This is what we're calculating, greater than 500, which is this and this. Okay, now the most important thing to remember, guys, in a histogram question is that the area, I'm going to write this here, the area is equal to the frequency. If you only remember one thing about histograms, remember that. The area is the frequency, right? So let's focus on the area. This is a tricky question, to be fair. let's look at the green area. So this is between, let's just do 300 to 400 like that. So that's the green bit. So this area, let's just look at the small squares. So this area is 10 times 5, 10, 15. It's 10 times 15, which is 150. And then let's look at the pink area. The pink area, which is 400 to 500. Hang on, 400 to 500. This is 5 times 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37.5. So it's 5 times 37.5 plus this bit, which is 5 times 5, 10, 11, 12, 12.5. 5 times 12.5. Now they're being a bit mean, guys, with the 0.5s, but that's how it is. Okay, now using our calculator, I'm going to do 5 times 37.5 plus 5 times 12.5, which is 250. Okay, now he says the amount of, like in the green trees is 8 less than the pink trees. Now we know the area of the pink is 250, so area is 250, and the area of the green is 150, so 250 minus 150 is 100. So that means that, I'm going to say therefore, 100 boxes, 100 small boxes equals 8 trees, which means one tree is 100 divided by 8, which is 12.5 boxes. So 12.5 boxes is one tree. Now we're going to work out the orange. Let's look at the orange area. That's my 500 to 800. Let's do it here. 500 to 800. Now that is my 10 times 5, 10. That's my 12.5. So it's 10 times 12.5 plus 10, 20 times 2.5. 20 times 2.5. Now that, guys, is that's 125, and that's 20 times 2.5 is 50. You can use your calculator, but this gives me 175. So there's 175 boxes here. We know that 12.5 boxes is one tree, so we're just going to do 175 divided by 12.5, and this should tell us how many trees in this orange area. Okay, hopefully this goes in nicely. 175 divided by 12.5 is 14, which tells me I'm almost certainly correct, because that's a nice number. Okay, that is the answer. Question 20. The diagram shows two similar metal statues. The volume of statue B is 20% less than the volume of statue A. The surface area of statue B is K% less than the surface area of statue A. Work out the value of K. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay. Always tricky questions, these ones, guys. They seem to be making them harder and harder. But I like to start with this: scale factor, area factor, and volume factor. Now, we know that the volume of B is 20% less than the volume of A. Now, that means to get the volume of B, we multiply this by 0.8. So the volume factor is 0.8. Now, how did I get that? Well, I got it by it's like those compound interest questions. If you want to reduce something by 20%, you multiply them by 0.8. You get 80%. So the volume factor is 0.8. Now that tells me the scale factor is the cubed root of 0.8. Let's actually get that, guys, first. The scale factor is the cubed root, which I can get here, little 3 there, cubed root of 0.8, because remember the scale factor is always the cubed root of the volume factor. So that's 0.9283177. 0.92833. I'll just put ... guys, because I'll keep it in my calculator. And the area factor is equal to this squared. Let's find out what that is. So this squared, just do that. I get 0.86177. 0.86177. Okay, so the area factor is this, which means the surface area of B is 86% of the surface area of A. But we want to say, he says, it's k% less than that. So a bit like how 20% less is 0.8. What percent less is 0.86? Well, I just need to do 1. Let's do 1 minus 0.86177. 1 minus 0.86177 is 0.13823. 0.13823. 13823. So what percentage is that? Well, I have to multiply by 100, therefore it's 13.8 to 3 significant figures % less. Okay, hope that makes sense, guys. K equals 13.8. Question 21. Express this in the form this, where P and Q are integers. Show each stage of your working clearly. Okay. Let us start with this. I'm going to start by saying root 2 minus 1 squared. Let's do that first. That is root 2 minus 1 times root 2 minus 1. And you have to do this times this times this times this times this. Root 2 times root 2 is 2. Root 2 times minus 1 is minus root 2. Minus 1 times root 2 is minus root 2. Minus 1 times minus 1 is plus 1. So this is equal to 3 minus 2 root 2. Okay, now it's a more straightforward, still difficult, but it's a question we're more familiar with, which is essentially rationalizing the denominator. So that's 2 root 2 like this. So the trick is we multiply above and below by the conjugate of this. We're going to multiply by 3 plus 2 root 2. 3 plus 2 root 2, like so. And then, may as well put brackets here, guys. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 root 2 is plus 6 root 2. Root 8 times 3 is 3 root 8. And root 8 times 2 root 2, this is actually quite nice, guys. It's plus 2 root 16, because you do 8 times 2 is 16. You can multiply within the roots, and root 16 is going to be just 4. So that's fine. And then at the bottom, I do 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 2 root 2 is plus 6 root 2. Minus 2 root 2 times 3 is minus 6 root 2. And then this times this is minus 2 times 2 is 4. And well, guys, you can do this on your calculator if you want, but 2 root 2 times 2 root 2 is actually 8, because 2 times 2 is 4. Root 2 times root 2 is root 4, which is 2, and then 2 times 4. Okay, anyway, you can do that on your calculator. Then we're nearly finished, guys, here. So this becomes 9 plus, this is 6 root 2. Now 3 times root 8, guys, and look, I'll show you. You can actually use your calculator for some of this. 3 times root 8, which is what 3 root 8 is 6 root 2. That's because root 8 is root 4 times root 2. Root 4 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. There you go. So this is actually equal to 6 root 2. This is equal to 2 times 4, which is 8. And the denominator, very nicely, because these cancel, which we were expecting, is just 1. 9 minus 8 is 1. So we're left with 9 plus 8 is 17. 17 plus 12 root 2. Okay, but because 6 plus 6 is 12. But he's being particularly annoying, and he wants you to give it in this form: p plus root q, where q is an integer. So that's not in this form yet, but I can change 12 into, and the reason they do this, guys, is to prevent you using your calculator. It's hard to turn this back into this, but I can say 12 is actually root 144. Root 2 is obviously root 2, and now I can multiply these two together to give me 17 plus 144 times 2 is 288, and that is the answer. The diagram shows a sketch of part of the curve with equation. This p is a positive constant for all values of p. The curve is exactly one turning point, and this turning point is a minimum shown as t in the sketch. For the curve where the x-coordinate of t is -3, find the value of p. Okay, so guys, this is about this is a calculus question. It's about finding the derivative, finding the minimum. The minimum is when the derivative equals 0. So let's write this out. Y is equal to x squared minus p over x. X squared minus p over x, or x squared minus p times x to the -1. When we're differentiating these, we have to write the x with a power. Okay, and now we're going to say, right, what is dy dx, the derivative? Now we do 2 times x multiplied by the power, and then subtract 1 from the power, so it's just to the power of 1. Then we multiply by this power. -1 times minus p is plus p, and we subtract 1 from the power, which is -2. So this is equal to 2x plus p over x squared. Now, at minimum, this is important, guys, at the minimum, at min, dy dx equals 0. So that's true for any function. Now the derivative, that means 2x plus p over x squared equals 0. But we know that for this particular curve, x is -3 at this minimum. So we can sub in -3 in here. So it's 2 times -3 plus p over -3 squared equals 0. And I'm left with -6. I'll just have to come down here a bit, guys. -6 plus p over 9 equals 0. I'll just come over here. P over 9, add the 6 to this side, equals 6. And then p is equal to 6 times 9, which is 54. So p is equal to 54. Then, for part B, it says the line with equation y equals k is a tangent to the curve with equation y equals this. Find the value of k. Okay, this is kind of tricky, guys, because we have to kind of relates back to this graph. A tangent with line y equals k means the tangent is a horizontal line like this. And that tangent exists on this curve only at the minimum. So it's kind of like a tricky way of saying, find the minimum, find the y coordinate of the minimum. If I can find the y coordinate of that minimum, I have k, because this is like y equals k. So let's get the minimum. The minimum, again, will occur when the derivative equals 0. So I'm going to do the same kind of thing, x to the -1, dy dx is equal to 2x plus 16 over, 16x to the minus 2. That's like part A. Multiply by the power, subtract 1 from the power. This is 2x plus 16 over x squared. Now at min dy dx equals 0. So my 2x plus 16 over x squared equals 0. This time I don't have x, but I'm trying to find x. So 16 over x squared equals negative 2x. Just multiply across. Just subtract this. Now multiply across. 16 equals minus 2x cubed, because I'm going to do x times x squared is x cubed. X cubed equals divide by negative 2, negative 8, which means x is equal to negative 2. But we're not done, because remember what I said is we're actually trying to find the y coordinate of this. So the y coordinate is when x equals negative 2, y equals negative 2 squared minus 16 over negative 2, which is 4. Minus 2 times minus 2 is 4. And this is also going to be plus. So it's going to be plus 16 over 2 is 8. Because minus minus is plus. 4 plus 8 is 12. So k is equal to 12, right? Part B, guys, that is a tricky question, because you need to understand what's going on with all these tangents and minimums and everything. Okay, question 23. Express this in this form. Okay, I'm gonna do it, guys. I'll do it the long way, and then I'll do it the easy way. The easy way works fine, guys. You get full marks, but I want to show you the long way as well. So this is 2x squared minus 12x plus 3 equals, take out the 2 and put in a big square bracket. This gives me x squared minus 6x, and I'll just leave the plus 3 outside here. This gives me 2 square brackets, and now here I'm going to do this, completing the square trick, where I do x minus 3. I half this squared, so that will give me my x squared minus 6x, and then I have to subtract the 9, because 3 squared is 9, which I've just kind of created, plus 3. Then multiply this out. I get 2 times x minus 3 squared. 2 times minus 9 is minus 18, plus 3 is minus 15, but it's going to be 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 15, and that's the answer. 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 15. My quicker, easier, much easier way to do this, guys, is you go to menu, go to equation, go to polynomial, degree 2, you put in your 2, you put in your negative 12, and you put in your 3, press enter, and then forget the x1 and the x2, but the min is 3 and minus 15. So I like to write min is 3 and minus 15. And then all you have to do is go, your a is always the same, so your a is just 2. Then it's always x minus this number here. If that's a minus, it becomes plus, but it's minus this, so it's minus 3 squared, and then just plus this number, which is plus minus 15, or minus 15. So once you have the minimum, it's very easy to do this. And then and then if you have this, you also have the minimum. Okay, part B, it says, this question, guys, is 2 marks. It says the curve C has this equation. 2 times, and look, obviously this is related to this, 2 times x plus 4 squared minus 12 times x plus 4 plus 3. So what he's actually done, and m is the minimum of on curve C. So we know the minimum of this is 315. So what he's actually done, guys, is this is a transformations question and again a tricky question. So what he's got is f of x plus 4. He's changed x into x plus 4. Now what is this transformation? Well, this transformation, it's a horizontal translation of -4. So that means we're going to move it left 4. Now if the min is at 3 minus 15, we're going to do 3 minus 4, which is -1. So we're moving the minimum, like imagine we have a minimum like this, and if this is at, let's say this is 3 minus 15, and we move the whole thing left 4, well, what happens is the x coordinate changes to -1 and the y coordinate doesn't actually change. Hence, we're left with the coordinates are going to be -1, -15. Okay, final question. Question 24. Sorry, it's not the final question. Second last question. Elliot has X counters. Each counter has one red face and one green face. He spreads all the counters on the table and sees that the number of counters showing a red face is 5. He then picks at random one of the counters and turns the counter over. And then he picks a second counter and turns that over. Okay, first, guys, I am going to draw a bit of a diagram. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 red counters. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't know. So I'm going to put a plus here to indicate more green counters. We don't know how many there are. It might actually be less, but whatever. The total is X. Okay, so we don't know how many greens there are. We know there's 5 red. He's going to pick one of these counters and turn it over. Now, when he turns it over, it'll turn to the other color. So, for example, if he turns over a red, it'll turn to a green. And if he turns over a green, it'll turn to a red. So the question is, well, what he says, the probability that there are still 5 counters showing a red face is 19/32 when he turns the 2 over. So how could there still be 5 reds? Well, the example I showed you is exactly one of the ways. If he turns over one of the greens and then he turns over one of the reds, he has still 5. So he has to turn over 1 red and 1 green. So now how do we figure that out? Well, let's look at the probability of red. Let's do red, green. So red, green, the probability he turns over a red is 5 out of X. And then the probability he turns over a green, this is multiplied by, is whatever's left out of X. But this is where it gets tricky, guys. If he turns over, because he's going to turn over a red here. Now, how many, we have to assume he's turned over that red. So once he's turned over that red, how many greens are now left? Well, there's X in total minus the 4 red. So it's X minus 4. That's the probability that he turns over a red and a green. Okay, now I'm going to go and do a green and a red. The green and the red. So guys, let me just go back to the original. Okay, what's the probability he turns over a green now? Well, there's X minus 5 greens, because there's a total of X minus these 5 reds, out of x, because there's x in total, and again we're going to multiply by. Now look, if he turns over a green, this has now become red. And if this has become red, how many reds are there left now when he's going to turn over the second one? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 reds. So it's now 6 out of x. Okay, so the probability that there's still 5 is going to be this plus this, because it's either red-green or green-red. So let's write that out. 5 over x times x minus 4 over x plus this x minus 5 over x times 6 over x equals 19 over 32, because he said the probability was 19 over 32. Okay, let's multiply this out. This is 5x minus 20 over x squared, 5x minus 20 over x squared, plus 6x minus 30 over x squared equals 19 over 32. Common denominator is nice, so I can just do 5x plus 6x is 11x, so it's 11x minus 50 over x squared, because it's a common denominator, equals 19 over 32. Then I can just multiply across. So 32 times, I'm going to have to do that with a calculator, guys. 32 times 11. Oh. Let's go back here, sorry guys. Go back to here. Okay, 11 times 32 is 352. 352 x minus, let's do 50 times 32, or 32 times 50 is 1600 minus 1600 equals 19x squared. Okay, this is obviously a pretty horrible quadratic. Okay, let's just rearrange it, guys, to 19x squared minus 352x plus 1600. So that's like subtracting this and adding this to this side equals 0. And now I have to factorize this. Now, guys, that's obviously like super hard to factorize. So go to your equation here. Polynomial is 2. Degree 2, put in 19 minus 352 and 1600, press enter, and we get 200 over 19 and 8, right? So that tells me, guys, 200 over 19 and 8. So if you just want to go over here, x, I'm going to do, this is kind of like, it's not a cheat, but it's kind of working backwards. So it's what did I say, 200 over 19 and 8. So x is 200 over 19 and x equals 8. So the factors are 19x minus 200 and x minus 8, because it's what equals 0 is the factors. So I can then factorize this to be, and you do have to show these factors, which is a bit annoying, 19x minus 200 times x minus 8 equals 0. Therefore, well, these two x's, x, I can then just go to this, x equals 200 over 9, or, sorry, over 19, or x equals 8. Now let's have a think, guys. X was the total number of excuse me, number of counters. So obviously it can't be 200 over 19. It has to be 8. Must be an integer. You can write that. You get full marks, guys, if you just write down 8 here, or put an X through that to show that it can't be that. It's always nice to explain to the examiner that you know why it can't be the other solution. Okay, this is the last question, guys. Question 25. The sum of the first 10 terms of an arithmetic series is 4 times the sum of the first 5 terms of the same series. 8th term is this. Find the first term, show you're working. Okay. Firstly, guys, the sum formula, which is in the formula booklet, is n over 2, 2a plus n minus 1 d. This is in the formula booklet. And the formula for the nth term, which is not in the formula booklet, guys, learn this, is a plus m minus 1 d. This is in the formula booklet. This is not in the formula booklet. Okay. S10, this is the sum of the first 10 terms. It's n over 2, which is just 5. 10 over 2 is 5. Times 2a plus 10 minus 1 is 9d. The sum of the first 5 terms is 5 over 2. 2a, again I don't know, a, plus 5 minus 1, which is 4d. Let's simplify this a bit. This is just 10a plus 45d. And this is, 2's cancel here. This is 5a plus 5 over 2 times 4 is 10, 10d. Okay, now he says this is 4 times this. He says this, the sum of the first 10 terms is 4 times the sum of the first 5 terms. So, well, let's write it like this. S10 equals 4 times S5. 10a plus 45d is equal to 4 times this. So it's 4 times 5a plus 10d. Multiply out 20a plus 40d. Okay, and I'll just subtract them. Let's subtract them over here, guys. I get 10a minus 5d equals 0. So that's my first equation. I have 2 unknowns, so I need another equation, and I can use this to get it. I'll use my U8. So U8 is a plus, take it from here, a plus 8 minus 1 is 7, 7d. So a plus 7d equals 45. That's my second equation. Now he says find the first term of the series, so we're trying to find a. So in that case, let's make the d the same to eliminate the d. So let's just write it under here, guys. It's 10a minus 5d equals 0. So I'm going to multiply this one by, to make the d's the same, multiply this by 5 and multiply this by 7, and then they'll both be 35. Okay, so the top one multiplied by 5 gives me 5a plus 35d equals 5 times 45 is 225. 225. And then this times 7 gives me 70a minus 35d, and this just stays equal to 0. Then I just add them, because that will eliminate the d. That gives me 75a equals 225. And very nicely, guys, 75 goes into 225 3 times. So a is equal to 3. I don't even need to get d because they never asked me to do it. So a is 3, and here we go. Okay, that's it, guys. That is the paper.